What'd you call him?
Miggy.
Miggy. Oh, okay. Thought you said something else.
You thought I said something else, eh?
Yeah, racist.
Yeah.
All right.
Although,
you want to start this thing, or you just want to talk about racism?
why can't racism be part of the show?
I guess it could be.
You know, by choosing not to talk about it, we're really just supporting it.
we've still made a choice.
Exactly.
Well, as Rush would say, that's very true.
And by choosing to do the podcast, we have chosen to enhance the experience of fantasy baseball, not only for ourselves, but for the rest of the league members to listen for their personal enjoyment.
Right. So they can feel like they're a part of something and not just look at team names, think they're playing a computer. It's real people.
We're not computers.
We're men.
We're men with real feelings and
one
emotions. And one woman.
Yeah.
Yes. We're an inclusive league. But no black people in the league
Elizabeth and Jonathan are one. They've become one flesh. They have to be man or woman.
They became one flesh, but then they became two teams.
That's true.
So I don't know what is the Bible and other religious texts say about fantasy baseball.
I think they have very little to say.
Whereth you lay with a woman, and she starteth another row in the cornfield. Well, they didn't have corn in the Bible. Sorry. Whereth, that's the apocryphal text. Whereth she scatters seed in another field.
Right.
Or what if Jonathan was the one who started the split-off team?
Well,
what if he was throwing the seeds?
Whereth the man or woman spreadeth seed in the opposite field.
I'd
also like to point out that seed usually refers to semen.
Yes.
So, woman spreading seed.
Well, this is the new translation. This is the NIV. Where seed is not used in that way. Excuse me.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful. Did you lean closer to the microphone?
I think you did.
You ass.
I'm trying to.
Let's look at the standings right now. That'll be something good to talk about. Because one thing that I find interesting is that although we have switched up the National and American League teams, once again the National League is dominating in terms of record. With 2 4-1 teams, whereas my team is leading the American with a 3-2 record.
First of all, sample size. All right.
It is a small sample size, but how many games do we play?
We've played 5 games, a quarter
We're a quarter of the way through, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's okay. Because of the nature, the brevity of the fantasy baseball season, if you will, the fact that there are 2 4-1 teams and 2 1-4 teams, yes, there's a bit of separation there, but
guess who's 1-4?
Lots of things can happen.
Well, obviously, I just found that interesting.
I think more interesting rather than the seeming. Oh, come on!
Well, what's more interesting
made it, boo-boo.
The statistics Chuck's shared cumulatively, his pitching and his batting is pretty good. He's 1-4. He's at par luck, basically.
I think it's more interesting that Chuck, whom we all fear, has a 1-4 record, which can be attributed to a few things. He had a slow start from his best player, or one of his best players.
Arguably his best.
Arguably his best player. I'm going to his roster. Will, are you eating something?
Yeah.
Can you be quieter with that? No?
Will's a very loud eater.
Although Chuck does have Jose Abreu.
I'll be right back.
Stop moving the damn microphone. Oh my god.
No one's going to want to listen to this. Well, they probably weren't going to in the first place, but now they've turned it off.
I'm going to go eat dinner.
Okay.
I'm still here. I have to ladle some soup into this bowl.
But Chuck also has Jose Abreu, who's raking.
Right.
Chuck, and he'll listen to this, so he might not agree with me, but he has strangely had a couple speedsters on his roster that he's played continuously when they may not have been the best choices for offensive production. Just in my opinion.
I see. Well, if you're looking at his offensive stats, he's pretty middle of the pack. Apart from total bases, he's third, and RBIs, he's third, or tied for second, really.
Mm-hmm.
And he's third in stolen bases.
So, I mean, he has gotten the stolen base stats from those athletes.
Yeah.
Jeez, Will.
So maybe it was just not bad picks, but a bad strategy.
I thought it was an interesting strategy for him. It was not the strategy I thought he was going to go for.
Right.
Going into the
Chuck's
draft.
usually leading in total bases and home runs at this point, but
and
I think I am right now. Oh no, John is past
Pretty sure Chuck's still in second in both those categories.
in total bases and runs.
I mean, he's hit like 15 more home runs than I have, probably.
Who, Chuck?
Yeah.
he has hit 12 more home runs than you have.
Yeah.
But not a bad guess off the top of your head.
Right. All my home runs have come from Troy Tulowitzki.
See, that's the other thing, is you kind of have to look at these stats, keep in mind who's been hot recently. Because there are some teams that are being carried by one or two guys that'll probably cool down.
Right.
Nope.
Well, I mean, looking at Brad, the Hollingworths have somehow taken over the league.
Yeah.
Which I never intended.
Well, I'm playing Brad right now. I'm scared. And Chris beat me in a tie, which if he didn't, I would have the other 4-1 record. But
well, Chris, I'm not to talk about my personal problems, but Chris barely beat me, not in a tie, but he beat me 6-5-1, and were not for a administrative error on my part, things could have gone differently.
I saw that award.
Yeah, you say I never hand out awards, and I did. It was that guy on the White Sox that I actually just dropped today. So have at him. But yeah, I think Brad's team is the real deal.
I voted him having the best draft, so I agree with you there.
Chris's team, I think he's gotten a couple good breaks so far. Yourself and myself not disputed.
Yeah. Another beer.
What is that?
America Park has the same exact seats as Minute Maid.
It does not have the same exact seats as Minute Maid. What are you talking about?
Are incredibly similar.
What are you talking about?
America's seats.
Like all the seats, all the seating sections?
All the ones that I saw in the little cut from the pitching mounds, so behind the fence. I don't know, could extend the outfield.
Well, I mean,
Rangers suck.
Son of a bitch.
DFA everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Rockies are hitting everything right now, so.
Yep.
While we have
about the
nothing.
Rockies offense.
Yeah, something's up with. I don't know. There's something up. Either the team has just gotten on a roll and somehow is unable to be stopped, or I think they've changed something at Rocky Stadium.
Well, but they're hitting in Arlington right now.
Well, I know, but look at Troy Tulowitzki's stats.
Yeah.
He has like a 600 batting average at home and like a 250 away. It's a ridiculous split.
I didn't know the home and away.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous split.
I don't think Cargo's is that dramatic. Not that I've noticed.
Well, Cargo is a little bit of a.
Let's look. Yeah, go to Fangraphs and look up like home away splits for the team or something like that.
Let me do that.
And I'd especially be curious about a certain Charlie Blackmon.
Oh yeah.
Whom is currently on Willie's team. And I know we all tried to grab him when he was on the waiver wire.
I didn't.
He has like 60 hits already.
Well, I mean, that's everyone's saying Charlie Blackmon's going to cool off, and I agree with that assessment. But he hasn't yet. And that whole offense, John pointed out yesterday, I guess it was, that frickin' Drew Stubbs hit two doubles.
Yep.
So who knows?
Well, something's happened in the clubhouse.
Do we have any stats yet?
I'm getting it.
Maybe they changed.
So, Charlie Blackmon, he's hitting 414 at home, which means he's hitting, he's hitting 283 away.
Okay.
That's a pretty big split.
Yeah.
Not as big as Tulowitzki. Let me get.
Tulowitzki.
How about that Cargo? Well,
right.
Grant said Tulowitzki was about 600 at home.
I'll get you the exact numbers on Tulowitzki in a second.
Oh yeah, but he can't be 50. You said 50 away.
I said 250.
Oh.
Speaking of what Tulowitzki,
Toronto.
His slow ass could have gotten me an RBI today.
Yeah, I saw that.
But he didn't.
Wait, who? Tulowitzki?
94 away.
Tulowitzki he had a single in the first inning, and then Cargo hit a nice double that Rios fumbled, and had Tulowitzki been able to run, he would have easily scored on that play, and then Cargo would have gotten an RBI. It was inconsequential to the Rockies because on the next play, somebody hit a double, but it was consequential. It was consequential to the Frankenfine Globo Parks. So.
Well, he ran those his leg didn't feel right. So. Well,
he was obviously hurt. He wasn't or he's nursing some sort of thing. Grant, what did you say the splits were for Cargo?
It was 371 and 198, I think, something like that.
Really?
Yep. And then Tulowitzki is 608 and 250.
608 retarded.
Yep.
Well,
and then let's see Morneau.
If they play in a hitter's park,
Morneau's split.
Take that as an advantage.
Morneau's the only one that's pretty balanced. He's 343 at home and 328 away.
That's that veteran leadership.
Yep. But I think this proves my point. There's something going on either with the team or in the ballpark itself. Like
steroids.
Maybe they changed the humidor or something that they're keeping the balls in, or maybe they're just not using it anymore and try to get the attendance up.
Is that the only park that does that?
That I'm aware of, but
yeah.
They're the only ones that would need to do it.
Right. Well, I didn't know if there was
before we came to baseball,
they probably had the humidor setting at Houston for the longest time, and now they've changed it to Ohio or something like that.
Right. Somewhere. Do you think Ohio's middle of the road in terms of weather and ballpark?
Well, it's Midwest, so that's what I'm trying to.
We'd have to ask
Trying to think
John.
of.
We need John here as a person.
Well, we should try to analyze the humidity of different places by looking at home and away splits of batters. So we could look at.
This also sounds like something John could do with a spreadsheet.
Let's look at Kipnis. If Kipnis has an even split, then I would say Ohio has. His home is 250 and his away is 220. So I think Ohio is pretty middle of the road in terms of humidity.
Yeah, sure.
They're off the lake there in Cleveland.
I guess it depends on where you are in Ohio.
Lake Erie? Is that Lake Erie? Yep.
Well, other things we could talk about include prospects that have been called up and then those that are waiting to be called up.
Well, you have a couple of those.
Yeah, Springer's been riding a hitting streak for the last couple days.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 1 for 2 today, but he had his best offensive night so far. He went 3 for 4 last night. And apart from one Oakland game where he went 0 for 4, he would be on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a 10-game hitting streak. So maybe he's starting to figure things out.
Starting to figure it out. He does have, looking at it, I mean, he only has the one multi-hit game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, still.
It's better than striking out every at-bat like he was doing before.
It is better than that.
Well, it falls with his average that he might be a 250 hitter.
Yeah, he's not going to hit for a high average.
Right.
He just hasn't been hitting at all.
Right. It's
still waiting for the bomb, though.
Is he still hitting third in the order?
No, he's hitting sixth the last couple of days.
Oh, they dropped him down?
Yeah, they dropped him out.
Yeah.
Because he does not have very many runs to his ledger of stats. Looking at it.
Let's see.
What's the news on Gregory Polanco? Or is that top secret?
No, it's not top secret. I stashed him very early, and I'm seeing his
in
ESPN climb from like less than 1% to about 8%, like it is now. But he's still hitting like almost 400.
Right.
But the Pirates, as they've shown in the past, they don't really like to call up people before the Super 2 deadline, so it'll probably be a mid-June thing. Unless somebody gets hurt, then maybe they might consider bringing him up. But
well, how are they doing? I haven't followed the NL Central very closely, but are they still up
they're
there?
sucking. No.
They're sucking? Oh, so there's
they're not having a good year.
So there's no incentive right now for them.
Well, the problem is their pitching's been all right. Their offense has been terrible. So there's a lot of people saying if they call them up.
I know about certain aspects of their offense.
Yeah.
Not performing to where they would be or did the previous year.
Yeah. So and it's his position. It's the right field that they're sucking in, mainly.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if they called him up kind of out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it'll happen. But looking at the numbers he's put up, no. Yeah. Well, you saw what happened with that. Looking at the numbers he's put up, I kind of had since I haven't had too many injuries so far, kind of had an extra bench spot, so I just decided to put him there.
Right.
Other than that, the Jays brought up Marcus Stroman, who's supposed to be their best pitching prospect. And he's already pitched twice in relief. I grabbed him.
That Cargo just hit a bomb.
Yeah, I just saw that.
That's good for my team. Not good for the Rangers.
Well, I hope the Jays make this guy into a starter, but some other people think they might be his closer, which, if he's their closer, I'm not that excited about that, but
well, you get some save holds.
Yeah.
But what's that, Will?
That I love his name.
Marcus Stroman. Other than that, I haven't really heard of any other names other than the Angels first baseman that got called up, Crone. Who's Crohn's disease. Looks like he's been
I laughed
having
at that, and then I realized I shouldn't have.
Don't laugh at Crohn's disease. I know people with Crohn's disease.
He's available in our league right now. Probably rightfully so because he's gone 0 for 3 his last 2 games, but
right.
He's probably one of the few people that the Angels have in their system that's interesting.
Well, since he plays for the Angels, I have no interest in him.
Right.
So.
Todd will not pick him up.
Everyone else in the league.
Not a principal.
Go at him.
I'm surprised one of the Hollingsworths haven't done that. I guess they don't need anybody right now with their record.
They seem to be okay. Yeah. With my record, I decided this week was the week to DFA everybody, so move everything around. But
we could talk about the rash of trading.
Yeah, there have been a lot of trades recently. The first one, what was the first one?
The first one was the one not involving me, and the most unexpected. Or maybe not unexpected, but most surprising in terms of value exchanged of the 3 trades. Involved Jonathan and Willie Philpott.
Yeah.
Jonathan accepted a proposal from Willie to trade Sergio Romo in exchange for Ian Desmond. Which it was, I know I at least received a text message from Chuck. I don't know, I might have received one from you. It was a bit perplexing in terms of what each team got. I guess Willie really needed some saves. Maybe he was fearful he was playing me and my guys that are getting tons of saves, that he was like, I need to load up on saves. But I mean, you look at Willie's team, and he could use a pretty decent closer. But with the nature of the scoring system in the league, it might have been more beneficial to go after or find a solid 7th or 8th inning guy rather than go out and get a closer.
Right. Yeah, you can make that argument. It's a lot. There's a lot of value, even in a guy in Desmond who doesn't walk at all. He's got like a 7% walk rate so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no value in saves, and I'm still surprised to see people drafting closers so high, other than like Chapman and those types of guys who get you a ton of strikeouts. But guys just getting saves. You can find that on the waiver wire pretty easily, especially with the ability to get holds too.
Right. I mean, you look at the composition of Willie's team, and before he traded Ian Desmond, he did have four middle infielders. Desmond, Robinson Cano, you might have heard of him. Hanram out in the Los Angeles Baseball Dodgers, and then Daniel.
Todd broke.
I broke.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now.
What did you miss?
I heard Daniel. And
Daniel Murphy, not Daniel the Lion Tamer, or Daniel Day-Lewis. So you have 4. He had 4, and I guess decided that was a team surplus, much in the way that the Rangers had 3 middle infielders and needed a first baseman. Not that these trades are equal by any means. I guess that's the explanation for it.
But
yeah, and if you go off of, even if you're going off of ESPN's average draft position, which doesn't really match up with what our league values, it's still lopsided. So
right. Well, I mean,
that was a surprising trade
it's
for sure.
yeah. The average draft position's not a great barometer, but it's pretty solid in terms of what everyone was doing. It's skewed by teams that auto draft based on the ESPN pre-rankings. But anyway, Willie got his closer, and Jonathan got another middle infielder. So.
Yep. And then we had a trade between two of our podcast participants.
Yes.
Will traded the Parrot Man, Edwin Encarnacion, for David Wright from Todd.
Correct.
Which I think is a pretty evenly based trade, but personal opinion, I think Encarnacion is probably not going to hit 30 home runs like he did last year. So I would be a little bit on the David Wright side, especially because third base is a weak position this year. There's a lot of third basemen that are hurt or not playing well, like Sandoval.
Alvarez.
Yeah, Alvarez.
Yeah, partially too.
Zimmerman's hurt.
Zimmerman will come back and then I'll have three really good first, third position.
Yeah.
Guys.
So I would lean a little bit on the David Wright side, but I think it's a pretty fair trade overall.
Well, to provide you with my perspective, I'm obviously hoping for Encarnacion to start doing better. And yesterday he did hit a home run while he sat on my bench for no good reason. And I drafted Wright at a good position for his value. But I'm just not much of a David Wright guy, and I worry about his health. It's a perpetual concern with him, and I'm also really, really hoping that Alvarez turns it around. So with having two third basemen, I thought that was a way that I could go out and get a guy who has a little more home run potential. So
yeah, well, Encarnacion's had his problems with injuries too, so
it's true.
I didn't really see that, as a downside to either side of the trade in this one.
No, it's a pretty even trade in terms of player value.
Mm-hmm.
So
Pedro Alvarez is not a guy I believe in at all. He's going to hit home runs, but he's never going to hit higher than 240. He's just not able to do that.
Be an OBP guy.
Right.
So.
Well, the home runs will come.
I was surprised that Will traded one of his beloved Blue Jays to me.
Well,
this is true.
To be honest, I mean, I'm just as big a fan as you'll find this side of Ontario, but I've had Encarnacion before. He had a decent year. I mean, well, he had a good year last year, but it wasn't the 42 home run season that he had in 2012, I think. And I don't know. I've never had. This year is a new beginnings year, and I'm acquiring all the players that I've never had before. But so I've never had David Wright.
This is your strategy: is to get people you haven't had before.
Yeah, well, I've never had Tulu.
Secret strategy.
I've never had a Cardinal besides Yadier Molina.
It's actually what I've done too.
Except for that one year that Lance Berkman, Cardinal, but so I got the Holiday, Adams tandem, the Mats. So David Wright was just someone. Well, and I like Encarnacion doesn't steal as many bases.
No, he does not. He stole 13 that year. He hit 42 home runs,
right. But and I don't think
he stole 7 the year after.
Yeah.
Did not acquire him for stolen bases.
Yeah. Well,
and that's not say
double-digit steals though for a guy who hit 42 home runs. That's pretty good. But looking at his stats so far in the year, which again, small sample size still, but we're getting into the territory where it's becoming more of a trend.
Sure. Best fielder.
Yeah. Well, he's trending upwards right now.
Yeah.
I know.
His BABIP is actually higher. Yeah. Higher than anything he's had since 2011. Yet he's only hit 3 homers so far. I don't know what that puts him on pace for, but it's certainly not more than 30. So I wonder if it's just a luck issue or if there's some sort of injury he was getting over at the beginning of the year, because he's hit most of the home runs pretty recently.
Yeah.
Could look at his.
This did not go unnoticed by me.
Yeah. Where's the home run fly ball percentage? That's what I want to know. What's that under?
What side are you on?
Oh, there it is. Yeah, his 2012 year, he had a 18.7% home run fly ball percentage. So far this year, it's only 6.5. So that's obviously the big difference. He hit 17.6% last year, so almost the same percentage.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually a pretty good indicator of power.
Usually. Well, for the love of God, stop moving the microphone.
We all don't have the same computer situation.
Just
Find
keep it in one
a
place.
spot and put it in one spot.
And don't move it.
It's hot on my lap, and I have to set it down on the table.
Then
And
keep it on the table.
No, but then it's too far away. You
Oh
can't-
my God.
I've already. Well, we got 2s with the Astros game. Hold on.
You have no idea what it sounds like
Yeah.
on the other end.
And then
What is it like? Charbidus? Is there just like a torrential?
yeah, it's
Yes.
horrible. You can't
Yes.
hear anything but that. You should know this from your days at KANM. You don't move the mic while you're on air.
Thank you.
It sounds
Those bad 2s.
obsessed as of 5:15 today. Hunter Pence and Starlin Castro.
I saw that trade.
Todd once again involved in this trade, and
I was
Jonathan
involved in that trade.
sending Castro his way.
Starlin.
Do you want me to
Todd's
talk?
quickly acquiring all of the Cubs. So let's hear your
My perspective
your perspective on
before the
this.
analysis.
Yeah.
This trade, we should have talked about this one before the first trade of the week. After Desmond got traded to Jonathan, I noticed he had a few middle infielders, and I also noticed that, well, it wasn't like I suddenly noticed it. I had been well aware of my middle infielders' lackluster production, particularly from a certain Everett Cabrera, and decided that was a place that I could really use some help. And I contacted John. I said, "Hey, what's the deal with the middle infielders?" We did this over G-Chats, and he was like, "Sure, who are you interested?" I looked at Castro. I said that was the guy. We kicked around a couple names, and then he spotted Hunter Pence, and Hunter Pence was someone that I've shopped around a little bit. Basically because he has been scoring a lot of runs for the Giants in that offense, but his power numbers are a little down from where they were expected to be. And in terms of relative value, I thought that was fairly even. Pence maybe being a little bit higher of a player in terms of just overall production, but I also had Nick Markakis, who so far, a month into the season, has been keeping up what he started and has moved up in the Orioles lineup accordingly. So I decided that I made the decision in my heart that Markakis is not having very much of a fluke start, and that I had the ability to slide him into my outfield spot and trade away Pence in order to get better in the middle infield.
Well, that's good reasoning.
Yeah.
Markakis, I mean, he used to be a guy with a capital G.
Right.
No longer so anymore, but
no longer so.
I don't think that'll be. This is a Beltran.
Oh shit!
I don't think he's gonna. He'll hit a slump this year, or it'll be an injury. It'll be one of the two.
Oh well, screw you.
I'm just saying, he's one of those players.
Sure.
It's like picking up Brian Roberts. He's gonna play well for a while, and then something will happen.
I have owned Nick Markakis many a time.
Yeah, well, he's done that in his better years too. He usually ends up getting hurt.
Right.
That's usually his problem. But again, I think this trade is pretty fair. Castro's not a guy that I highly value just because he doesn't walk very much. He's had like a career 5% walk rate, which really in our league is not very valuable at all, since we're in an OBP league.
Right.
But it looks like he's showing some power, which he's been, touted for, being a shortstop and having power. So that if that ends up being true this year, that would be a really good trade, especially because there's not a whole lot of shortstops that hit for power right now.
Right.
Yeah, and then Pence, he's probably on the downswing in terms of his career. I don't know how old he is, but
is he in his 30s yet? Or is he 29 maybe? I'm going to bet 29.
Pence?
Yeah.
I believe
expect him to be.
Y'all are cutting in and out.
He's hit, other than 2 years, 2011 and 2012, he's hit 25 or more home runs since 2008. And in 2011 and 2012, they were 22 and 24. So he seems to be pretty consistent in that category. Might just take him a little while to turn on the Jets.
I don't think Pence is a bad player.
Yeah. The Giants are typically a team that come on stronger late in the season anyways.
Not this year.
Yeah. They started off really well this year, but they haven't had the pitching like they have had in recent years.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a pretty fair trade. Once again, if I had to choose, I don't know actually. This one's pretty even in my book. I don't know if I could really. If I had to put my name on one, I might go with Castro just because of his position. Because I think value-wise, they're probably going to be about the same, but that value at shortstop is better than in the outfield.
Well, and I don't think Castro would have been available had John not acquired Desmond. So.
Right. So you spun off of a highly unbalanced trade.
Right.
And so your trade only because
I did not get as good of a deal for Castro as John got for Desmond. That much is true.
Yeah.
No matter what happens. Hey Maggie.
Well, it's no Will trade or Matt trade, so
it is not one of those. That's true. Although we may still there's time in the season yet
for it to happen.
For such a happening, yeah.
If the Matt's team sucking, he might decide to sell the farm like he did was it last year he did that?
That was last year, yeah.
Yeah. Which, in a league where you only have 3 keepers, I don't really know how you sell the farm, but if he wants to do it, I'm not going to stop him.
I don't know.
that means maybe I can get Harper, like I've been trying to for the last 2 years.
That's who he traded Cabrera for, right?
Yeah, I know.
Bryce Harper. That's his golden goose.
Well, his golden goose has laid an egg, and that egg is broken right now for the next 2 months.
Right.
At least. So I'm hoping he'll trade him to me. Because right now I can have a guy on my bench that's hurt. I don't know if he can.
Well, I think Grant's calling you out, Matt, if you're listening on a later date whenever this podcast is aired.
What do you think about the trades, Will? Haven't heard your input.
Well, Starlin Castro is, like you said, a better positional trade. I mean, Hunter Pence, in addition, is hitting maybe 20 home runs, though, will steal close to or as many bases. And
Drew Stubbs got another double.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Also, kind of off topic, the Pirates are the first to have a walk-off replay.
They won on a replay.
On a replay.
What was the replay?
I don't know, but someone's safe at home, so.
Wow. That's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
I guess it was bound to happen. I still think, if you want to continue off topic, like I am very much enjoying having replay, and it's just been weird from a fan standpoint, from not being used to it to being used to confrontation and anger and stuff, and now that like 85% of that has been taken out of the game just because the manager, instead of going out there and yelling just like, oh, hey, can you go look at that again? Sure, you know. And then, like, something actually gets changed. Like,
it is quite different.
It's weird. It's cool weird, but
you still have gotten the arguments have not gone away, though, which I wonder if baseball is ever going to. I don't think they ever will, because they want the arguments. It's part of the game.
Sure, yeah.
There's always going to be certain plays that you can't review.
Right.
So,
and balls and strikes and all that.
Yeah, yeah. And the classic arguing balls and strikes is a good one.
Yeah. But I mean, it's in terms of the your average guy is ruled safe at first or something like that play. We were at Minute Maid, and I believe the call got overturned correctly in favor of the Astros.
Well, which one?
We went to the Springer debut game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was.
And then another weird thing, being able to see the replay of a close play on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, that is something new as well.
That's never happened before. Because Bud Selig needs to go away.
Baseball is the future of that.
The times they are changing.
They are changing.
Yeah.
They could have played that song during every replay.
They could have.
At least for the first year.
Well, in terms of more fantasy talk, still pretty early in the year, but do you guys have any front runners for, let's say, best
winning the league?
Let's not say winning the league yet. Let's say best regular season record.
I mean, to state the obvious, I think Brad's team is probably well positioned. His roster has a lot of balance. He's got two studs, pitchers between Kershaw and Wainwright. And I mean, you look at his hitting, and there's not that Miguel Cabrera player, that Mike Trout guy, or basically players that are on Chuck's team. There's none of really those that jump out to me, but I don't really, see much of a hole anywhere.
Yeah.
And
well, if he wins, it's going to be by pitching. Right now, he's last in home runs and last in total bases and last in RBIs.
Right.
Which are arguably the most important offensive stats because they're all tied together for the most part.
Look at his OBP. And
his OBP is up there.
He's third in runs.
Yeah.
He's
got
getting
some quick guys.
He's getting the other categories.
Yeah. And his pitching is the best. He has the best pitching. So.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he can make a good run for it too. Like I said, I pegged him as having the best draft.
Right.
So I don't think I would go away from that prediction.
And if you don't want to talk about yourself, Grant, your team offensively is doing very well.
Right. The counterpoint to his team.
The counterpoint to his team, the two division leaders.
Although I don't understand how I have the least amount of double plays turned. I just don't get that. It's very confusing to me.
Me and John have talked about this a couple times in our chats. Having more first basemen on your team
double plays
can get you some more double plays turned.
Well, so the max amount you could have would be
three.
Three, right?
Right.
If you had him in your DH, first base slot, and your first third.
Right.
Well, I already have two first basemen. So.
Well, who's your utility guy?
It varies between. It's not a first baseman. It's either Springer or Butler. So I'm not getting any double plays there. But even then, it's not like I'm missing a middle infielder or something like that. Like all my guys play the position they're marked for.
Right.
It's just been on.
Yeah, you and Matt are.
But we'll see. Maybe at the end of the year, I'm still less than that.
Maybe.
Nope.
Unless Springer can get some outfield double plays or something.
He's not going to get any double plays. They had talked about Butler playing first a lot this year, but that's obviously not happening. They've been keeping Moustakas in the lineup. I think they were thinking about playing Hosmer at third every once in a while.
Right.
The Royals have just been crap so far, so.
Not living up to the dream of Lord.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Although Butler's turned it around recently. Gordon has been very mediocre. Hosmer's been hitting for a high average, but he only has one homer so far. But yeah, those are my Royals problems. I somehow ended up with all three of their most notable hitters, which I have regretted so far. But at the position where I took them, there wasn't really anyone else I wanted. So
right.
Yeah, I think Brad's got a good shot at getting the best record too. But
as long as Kershaw and Wainwright
right,
keep rolling.
Yeah. His pitching might become more important as the season goes on because it usually trends that the hitters don't really heat up until summer.
Right.
Then the weather warms up and everything. So you might see guys like Kershaw and Wainwright being more valuable.
I agree. I wish I had Wainwright again. One day.
You can get him again.
Yeah. 2015, drafting him.
Well, I think we could.
I will draft him.
What?
Then if Kershaw is available in 2015, I will draft him.
Kershaw will not be available in 2015.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've been going at this for a little while, so should we call the first official KANM Fantasy Baseball podcast?
Sure. I do have a disclaimer before we end this.
Sure.
Make sure the next time you are making sandwiches in your kitchen, if you're going to cut them into fancy triangles, make sure not to injure yourself with a knife like Matt Cain did a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's no good.
Matt Cain has landed himself on the disabled list for, apparently he was making the sandwich, he had cut the sandwich, and he says in quotes, I went to cut it, not quit it, I went to cut it to make it fancy in triangles. And he dropped the knife and then tried to catch the knife.
It's always a smart thing to do.
This guy makes millions of dollars with his hands and other body parts.
Let's catch a sharp object.
Let's catch a sharp object. So even if you don't make millions of dollars, podcast listeners, I would advise A, not catching knives that are falling, and B, maybe just eating a sandwich that's, the regular way. Maybe cut the regular way or not cut at all to avoid such an injury.
And tear the sandwich in half.
Right. Or just, go out and kill an animal. And
not eat a sandwich in the first place.
Right.
Coming from a sandwich background, I can't give you any tips on triangular cuts because Jimmy John's, of course, always cut lengthwise, and they never tessellated their sandwich, as well. So can't really give you any help there. But I do know that usually you tend to try to cut away from your hand. Or,
what's the knife catching policy at Jimmy John's?
Knife catching policy is just let it fall to the ground.
See, Matt Cain could have used that.
You're cutting and then do the hands up thing like your Manu Ginobili or something.
Well, that would be falling, and then you might have the knife hit you if that happens. If you beat the knife to the ground,
the knife would get a foul if it touched you.
Right.
It would.
The knife would be more hurt than you are, but you would still act like,
So what we really need is mandated Jimmy John's training for all MLB pitchers.
It's the next collective bargaining agreement that's going to come up.
Yeah.
So sandwich training.
It could be a Jimmy John sponsored knife handling sandwich cutting.
Will's going to be the agent for this deal.
Like the last day of spring training or something.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you. So no catching of knives in the next week. Hopefully we'll do this again. Same time next week. And you can actually watch this live. I've got it set up for that, so maybe we can get people tuning in live next week. But we'll have a more organized show. Hopefully Chuck will be able to join us, and maybe some other people.
We'll have a script or something next
time. I think we should have an intro, like a check it out style intro. Like someone does it.
We'll work on that, Will.
Okay.
We'll see you guys next Wednesday.